Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us here on the Ice Hockey Camp Edition. Man, what a guest I have today. I got to tell you, working with him this past year on the radio with TSN 1290, but also working with him on and off the ice and just getting to know what's inside his brain has truly been amazing. This gentleman has had quite a run when it comes to championships, being a Manitoba born and bred player, starting his junior career in Portage. Ended up playing in the Turner Cup 2000 with the Orlando Solar Bears, 2001 the Calder Cup with the Chicago Wolves, and then finally making the jump into the NHL with our own Atlanta Thrashers, now Winnipeg Jets, making the move over to Europe in 2007 with the Swiss League. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please welcome from Vigier Hockey, VigierHockey.com, JP Vigier. We're going to talk about his camps, and we're going to talk about the upcoming month of August and perhaps working into the fall when it comes to getting players ready to hit the ice and skating as hard as they can. First day, ready to go. So here we are on the Ice Hockey Camp Edition with JP Vigier. Joining me today, JP Vigier, VigierHockey.com. JP, how you doing? How do you enjoy the fact that we're seeing hockey in bubbles?
Well, it's not the most ideal. You want to get in the rink and watch the game live, but it's better than no hockey at all because we've seen what that looks like, and it gets pretty boring.
5 months of no hockey is very boring, yes, but how has the summer been for you with regards to your camps and staying on the ice and returning to ice when you were able to?
Well, when we started in kind of mid-June, there was a little bit of apprehension. No one wanted to, push the boundaries. Everyone wants to be safe, and no one's playing for the Stanley Cup in June. So we decided to keep our groups very small, very intimate, allow lots of space on the ice, and from there start to grow and develop and really fine-tune the skills that got rusty. Guys and girls had not played for 3, 4, 5 months, so there was a lot of rust to shake off, and it was good. And now we've slowly progressed, and we're seeing lots of smiling red cheeks, and that's a lot of fun on the ice.
Did you remember how to skate after those months off the ice, JP?
Ish. We'll call it ish. Yeah,
Ish.
It wasn't easy, but we also had red cheeks as coaches because it had been 5 months. I don't care how you train. Once you hit the ice, it's always a little bit different.
Speaking of different, I mean, the silver lining to this, lowered numbers of participants for teacher ratio, more individual attention to the skills, the personal skills. Did the players and your participants able to enjoy that in June? And how were the coaches able to reinforce those messages more on a one-on-one basis without having the larger groups?
Well, when we get to a smaller group, you actually get more attention to detail. And the key isn't so much in always what you're seeing. It's able to find the error. So we call it error detection, and then being able to correct it. What is the wrong technical aspect that we're doing, and how do we go about dealing with it? And when you only have, 3, allow you to play freer and use your brain instead of having to think of skating or passing, you become a better player. And from there, you really see growth, because when you have 15, 16, 17 players, it's hard to see as many details and get to them in such a fine, dissectable way. So those little groups I enjoy, because that's where you really get down to the nuts and bolts of the game. Because if we can't skate, shoot, or pass, the rest of the game is difficult to play because it is so fast compared to when back in the day when I played. The skill level of the players is already head and shoulders above where we were as kids at that age. So it's a lot of fun to really challenge these players that want to be challenged and take them to heights they haven't seen or outside their comfort level, which is also very difficult.
You talk about the personal skills, JP. Do you work on strategy like zone entry, neutral zone, defensive coverage as well? And a second question to that is, how do you maintain the fact that it is a mental sport? You have to think as you're performing these drills for these young kids working into the junior ages as well.
Yeah, so we'll give offensive strategies, neutral zone, defensive strategies, but we really don't go into 5-on-5 detail because every coach has a different tendency and a different technical aspect that they want to see out of their players. what we do is we'll reinforce common hockey knowledge, make sure they understand concepts, ideas. So when they get to their camp and Coach X says, I want you to go in this direction at that time, they understand why. They have the knowledge to figure out what they're doing, why they're doing it, and apply it to a team setting to allow their skill set to really flourish. Offensive zone, technical aspects, we work a lot on because that is a hard thing to teach. You can teach defense because that is work ethic and discipline and some details. Offense does not always come as freely for some players. For example, in the National Hockey League, you see players like Mark Scheifele. Offense comes freely. He plays the game and it's natural, it's instinctual. There's other players that don't quite have that concept of instinctual offense. They have to be taught more. So that's where we spend some detail working on those instincts and aspects, where to go, where to position yourself, how to have the most success in game situation so you can get noticed.
Instinctual aside, JP, when it comes to the younger players working, what is the most important part of their game that they can continually work on daily? And then as you get older, are we more fine-tuning those skills to make them that much better, the cream of the crop, the cherry on top kind of player?
Well, the first thing every scout through the National Hockey League down to the WHL to the MJHL, skating. The game is all about skating. Now, if you can't skate, you're going to have a tough time playing at this level. Every player through AAA, AA, that's what they're working on. And one of my friends who's the assistant coach of the Columbus Blue Jackets, Kenny McCudden, says to me, and we're long friends, we don't look at rehauling the player. We want to fine-tune what they have and work within their ability. We can't all skate like Connor McDavid. If we would, it'd be a great place. But, you know, there's always a player who's got something more efficient, someone who has a tendency in the hips, maybe not to be as supple in the hips and be able to open them or strengthen the legs. So we all have different abilities. It's being able to work with all those different types of athletes and not make them all look like Connor McDavid or Mark Scheifele or Andrew Kopp. Take that player and grow what they have within what they have. You can't take someone and make them something they're not.
You're right. You can't take a lion and make it into a dog. Absolutely. If you talk about skating, JP, what part of skating is the most important? Is it the quick stride, separation from a defender, or is it the endurance that you focus on more? I mean,
with one comes the other.
We always want to see that AD as fast as possible, right? Or that quick change in direction.
Yeah.
Because you want to separate yourself from the defender. Is that what's being taught more so now compared to being able to last 60 minutes on the ice?
We're teaching a couple different aspects. We're not doing the 60-minute conditioning skate anymore. Most athletes, by the time they get to AAA, they're in the gym. They're doing all those things already. So we don't have to focus so much on that. We want to see a clean, efficient stride as we're young. And we're going to develop power and agility as we get comfortable on those edges. Because the better we are on our edges, the freer we are to skate. The better we are at turning, pivoting, creating a gap on an opponent. So once we're good on those edges, we'll challenge those edges to do things at high speed. Can you do a full tight turn, not lose your speed, keep the puck and protect it while someone's trying to run you through the boards at the same time? So a lot going on. So we take different athletes at different points. Some guys have great starts. They can get red line to blue line like nobody else. Think of a Nikolai Ehlers. He gets the top speed really quick. Those guys have that. Some guys have a longer stride and need more pop at the start. So every player is a little bit different, made differently. So we try and incorporate what they need, not so much force feed one style of player to everybody.
So we reviewed some of your camps, JP. We'll get to that right after the break. But before we get there, when it comes to the camps and it comes to recognizing what is needed for each player, how are you able to decipher that amongst the larger group and saying, okay, I'm going to work on player A with his stride, I'm going to work on player B and C with their quickness? How are you able to, separate that with the coaches on the ice?
So what we'll do is we'll have an understanding of what most players are like, having seen them in previous years or previous camp. If it's a new player, we're going to keep a little bit of a keener eye on them early. But our coach to player ratio is relatively low. We like to be at a 1-4, 1-5 ratio. So it's like that small group on the ice. We're just working in maybe in not a confined area, but maybe in a quarter of the ice or a third of the ice. So the coaches there, we've worked together. We've looked at athletes. We've dissected their stride, dissected their playing ability, and what we're looking at for habits, tendencies, where we look to progress, and how we affix those. So all the coaches on the ice with us have an understanding of where we want to go. right? So we are all using the same words, the same terminology to help each player in a different way, right? Player A, he might have a beautiful stride, but it takes him forever to recover into that. So we're going to focus on that recovery. We can do one drill, but have 3 or 4 different things going on within that drill to really help player A, B, and C. So we're not all focusing on the same thing at the same time of a drill.
The keener eye, the teacher to student ratio, very key. We're going to come back after the break. We're going to talk to JP about the camps that are upcoming in August. And because we don't have an exact return to play date, we'll see if some plans will be up in September. So stay with us on the ice, the Hockey Camp Edition. We'll be right back.
At Super 8 Winnipeg West, we have your comfort in mind, with free Wi-Fi and free daily Superstart breakfast. We also have guest laundry facilities, a state-of-the-art fitness center, and a jetted hot tub. Sleep well in a spacious guest room equipped with plush new bedding, a 50-inch flat-screen HD TV, microwave, mini refrigerator, and Keurig coffee maker. Or book a suite with a kitchen, ideal for extended stays. Super 8 Winnipeg West, located just inside the perimeter on Portage Avenue.
Before the break, JP was explaining to us the importance of student-to-teacher ratio, 4-to-1, fantastic. I hate seeing 25 kids out there with one rancher trying to wrangle them all in. Doesn't seem to work like that anymore, JP, does it?
No, the game has definitely changed. And, I think of when we were kids doing camps, it was, a lot of battle drills, a lot of flow drills. And now the emergence of skills coaches, specified skilled coaches that understand skating, shooting, passing, offensive aspects, and so on, has really emerged in North America. And I think you really see a lot of parents understanding that the coach can teach a 5-on-5, but these specific skilled coaches are allowing players to achieve more, understanding what it takes to shoot the puck. Do we have the right flex on our stick? Do we hold our stick properly? Do we bend our knees when we shoot, etc., etc.? That allows the players to play freer, achieve higher goals, and more importantly, have fun while they're doing it because they feel better with themselves.
Speaking of having fun, JP, I remember always coming back in August, not in game shape, we'll call it that, not game ready shape, just like everybody else, having the off season, maybe a little more golfing than normal. How do your camps continually make it fun for these participants? Is it because they still love the game? Is it because they know they're getting the instruction the right way? How does your camps at Vigier Hockey separate itself from others?
Well, that's a twofold question. First of all, the athlete is different. Most kids at a young age are doing multi-sport, are doing some dry land training, right? The older kids, they're in the gym. So they're not coming quite as far out of shape as you and I used to when we were kids. But we understand that, right? If you haven't touched the ice in 5 months and you go, you're not ready to play a game. You're not doing a 3-minute shift. I hope you never do a 3-minute shift, but you're going to be able to do 15, 20 seconds. We understand that. So we work within those parameters. The first thing we try and get back is our hands and feet, being able to move and think. It's like getting a new pair of skates. They're stiff, they hurt. You're thinking you're going left, your boot wants to go right. Things are all over the place. So we work with that athlete, understanding that expectation. If you haven't skated in 3 months, I'm not going to pound you with corrections because you can't even feel your feet after 5 minutes in the new pair of skates that your mom got you, and your legs burn because you're out of shape. So we're going to allow things to move a little bit differently, understanding the expectation of as we progress, we put nose to the grind at that point. So we got to have fun. We're kids. I'm not a kid. I love being on the ice. So we make sure we work hard while having fun.
That's a great answer, JP, because like I said, I remember just getting dog skated those first Monday and Tuesday at camps. I'm like, I don't want to go back on Wednesday. But then you say you're incorporating, you realize that as coaches, as people that are running the camps, there's better usage of ice time. and understanding that we're going to get ourselves into it, but it's not the most priority. Let's start with something, let's build on it, and let's build from that, correct?
Yeah, correct. The last thing you want to do is come out and take a player's confidence and energy and excitement and then just destroy it. Part of the game is mental, right? So if you can grow a player's confidence, attitude, help them with some mental aspects, continued growth, when they feel and see that growth, you see the love of the game just really take off and come up high, and you soak your teeth into them at that point when they're on a high note, and you can really take a lot of a player and make them even more rounded.
How excited was it for you to see your camps restarting in June, and now with upcoming camps coming and the people that are getting, the players that are going to be starting getting back on the ice? Big grins on the faces?
Oh, none bigger than mine. Getting back on the ice, I'm used to skating 5-6 days a week through the year, and we love being out there. And you see kids coming out and they hit the ice and they're smiling. And we haven't even talked to them yet, and they're excited. And just that energy, that's contagious, right? As a coach, we feed off the players' energy level and excitement, and then as a player, they feed off of us as well, right? So if my kids come in excited and I'm excited, we're going to have a great day. We may not succeed at everything we're going to do, but we're going to have a productive day because their energy's high. They're going to work hard. We can correct a few things. Some days we correct more than others and make bigger gains, but overall we leave with a bigger smile, a good sweat, and on to the next thing of the day.
So let's talk about some camps that are coming up here in August for you, JP. Some AA, some AAA, some female camps, some male camps. What is on the horizon these upcoming weeks for you at Vigier Hockey?
Well, hopefully, if everything continues to progress well with what's going on, we're going to have exactly those camps, a AAA prep camp where we look to players who are looking to make that jump from their last year of AA to AAA, or a player who played AA at the AAA age and look to make some gains. So those players come in for 3 weeks. We do on ice and off ice on a daily situation and look to progress through those 3 weeks. So when they hit the ice for tryouts, sometime in September, we hope, they're ready to rock and they're feeling good about themselves and their game. The female game, it's an ongoing, growing game. We're seeing more and more girls come. I have girls at home. They don't play hockey, but I love getting on the ice with the girls. They're full of spunk. They want to learn. They soak it in, and it's a great group of people to work with. So we add that to our repertoire and try and grow yearly on getting more girls in our locker rooms, so we can sink our teeth in. We fill with female staff because they're great mentors for the girls, and that is a great thing, and grow their game as well. They have different needs than the males, right, depending on their skill set, their years played, and where they are playing. So we look to do those prep camps as well. And the same thing for AA guys and girls coming in. If they have a chance to play, we don't just limit to that. We want everybody to come. If you're an A1 player, we want to help to make you a AA player. If you're an A2 player, we want to make you an A1 player. If you want to stay an A2 player and you're coming just to get a workout, a sweat, and learn something, we're going to do that and push you as well and do that. We understand that not every player has the same goals. And sometimes it's as simple as we got to get out of the house. We got to get a sweat because we have been, playing golf all summer, and mom and dad have had it, and we're getting out there. So we make sure that player may not want to be there at the start, but by the time he leaves, we've had a sweat, some fun, and they're going to come back again.
VigierHockey.com, building better players. I have to say this real quick. I've never seen this as a mission statement. 3 very quick words: integrity, work ethic, and the most important, I think, JP, self-value. Understanding what you're worth and how to make yourself better. We deal so much with bullying and dealing with outside factors and not having that focus on hand of how good we truly are. That self-value is so important to kids of all ages.
It is, and let's be realistic. 99% of hockey players, male or female, are not making the NHL. We want to help build better players / people, right? To come into society, understand not everyone's made equally, not everyone's made the same, but if you have a good discipline and you have a great work ethic, you're going to get the job you want. You're going to do things in life that matter, right? I was fortunate enough. I went through the hockey world. I felt the grind, the ups and downs, the wins, the defeats, the championships. But we want to make sure we build good people, right? So we teach work ethic. We help players deal with frustration on the ice and how we deal with that situation. A lot of players have a tough time dealing with negative energy. Well, how do you take that into a positive? So sometimes we may tell them, hey, we're going to push you hard today, but you have to understand we do it because it's XYZ to help you become a better player / person. It's a game. We got to keep it fun, but we have to learn something from it. I try and take a piece of every coach that I had, good or bad, and add it to my repertoire.
So, JP, do we have camps ongoing still through August? Are there going to be start dates coming up for players that may look for something for a part of your 3-week camp?
Yeah, there are. We have limited spots in that AAA prep. I believe there's only 1 or 2 spots left. My AA and female spots are pretty much full. You can email in at jeanvigier11@gmail.com to see if there's any spots available. We have a waiting list on a couple. As I said, people are excited. They're excited to get back to the rinks, and I think now getting into our 8th or 9th year as a company, we're really starting to see the following develop because people are progressing, but they're also having fun.
Tell us some of the coaches that you're working with this summer and some of their backgrounds as well, JP. I mean, we know you as being the travel professional, like I mentioned in the intro, which we'll get to later on. But who are some of the other ladies and gentlemen that are working with you on and off the ice?
Yeah, so we have a full staff of male and female. Some of them, Jessica Stott, who played at University of Connecticut for 4 years. She played a BH here in Winnipeg for a year or two in her prep years. A really well-rounded individual, played defenseman, knows her defensive game. So a real good skating coach. Steph Vigier, cousin of mine, played some time in the East Coast, played in Norway for a few years. He's out helping on the ice as well. We have Natasha Esquivel, who is also helping St. Mary's prep team. So that's some of the staff we have. Our goalie coach, Guy St. Vincent, spent some time in the coast as a player, has his own top shelf goaltending as well. We work together in correlation with camps, making goalies better players as well, and players having to think about the goaltending side of things when they're facing them. So we really try and help everyone, and those are a few of the staff that we have.
Great group of people on the ice and off the ice with you, JP. I got to say, I've talked to Guy as well, and very well credited goaltender and goaltending coach. Very smart with positioning and angles. I've never spoken to a goaltender like that before. He knows what's up.
Yeah, he does, and it's interesting because we spend a lot of time on the ice together. So I learn about goaltending as we go as well, and that's the thing. We bounce ideas, we work things, but also to help the players understand what the goalie's probably going to do in certain situations. Or I'll talk to a goalie and tell him, this is probably what I'm going to do in this situation. So how do you counter that move? It's kind of like chess. So we have sides of both places going, and Guy has great communication skills and a great experience, and he relates really well with the kids.
JP, it's story time. I got to ask you a couple of fun questions. Are you ready?
Absolutely.
What was it like playing in Orlando, Atlanta, and what was your favorite of the two? I mean, I love Atlanta because I lived in Atlanta. I was in there probably from 2002. My brother was there for almost 9 years. So we probably watched you play a couple of games as a Thrasher. So did you enjoy Orlando of all places? And
it's different. I loved both, right? Being a farm kid, going to Atlanta, Georgia, which, millions of population, and we're talking a culture shock for a little French boy from a small town. So, 6 lanes on the interstate, we have a gravel road. So
Spaghetti Junction.
Yeah, so that's a lot different. But, once we got used to it, it was a great city. Lots to do, great support from the fans. I know that tailed off after the years I left, but a real great city. Orlando, on the other hand, we have Disney World, right? You can go and do stuff. It's awesome when you get out of the rink and it's 75, 80, 24 degrees. It's a beautiful day. You never really feel bad when you leave the rink because the sun's shining. So that goes a lot, right? When it's cold, it's -50 and it's dark, and you really kind of puts you in a sour mood. So both great places. I probably have to pick Atlanta. It's the NHL. What's wrong with that?
Do you remember when you got that first call or that first mention saying, JP, pack your bags, you're going to Atlanta?
Yeah, well, for sure. We were at home in Orlando, and general manager said to me, "You got a flight tomorrow at 6 a.m. Make sure you're going." I said, No, we play at home tomorrow. He says, "No, you've just gotten the call. You're playing in Toronto tomorrow. Your flight leaves at 6 a.m. Hope you get some sleep." Well, sure as heck, I didn't sleep a lick that night because I'm going to the Air Canada Centre to play against Matt Sundin and Toronto Maple Leafs. And wow, what a place to start your career.
Speaking of not getting a lick of sleep and everything like that, growing up on a farm, country boy, gravel roads, Was it always your dream, and did you personally maintain that focus and that goal attainable?
Look, I'm a kid. I loved hockey. I watched Hockey Night in Canada. I watched on the French station with the Leafs. I watched with the Habs, and I watched the Leafs on every Saturday. I dreamed of playing in the National Hockey League. Was it a reality? No one in my area had ever played. The best that we had was someone got a scholarship to a D1 school, Norm Bazak. So for me, it was piece by piece. I never played AAA. I played high school hockey, and at that point, I got to play in Portage. And when I got to Portage, well, the goal was to get to the next level. And just, I think the love of the game kept me a little bit naive. And we didn't have social media and all these TV channels and YouTube and all that. So you just kind of focused on yourself, your game, and you had fun. And the love of the game and the coaches along the way that guided me, I think, kind of kept me honest, right? It was no worrying about playing the PlayStation or the Xbox till 2 or 3 in the morning. Hockey, sleep, eat, go do a little bit of work, and get back at it. So that was fun. And that's how I learned, and that's how I grew. And I think that love of the game carried me through each level.
That love of the game is still there. But like you mentioned, there is a lot of distraction nowadays for young kids compared to what it was for you and me 20 years ago, JP. How important is it to maintain that focus? Obviously, it's important. That's a redundant question. But when it comes to a player not having in their best of days or not having their focus there, they're just mentally not there, how are you able to right the ship for them and get their skates moving in the right direction?
Well, we call that a teachable moment. So we would talk to the athlete when the athlete, instead of just jumping on them and yelling and say, yeah, come on, move, you look lazy out there. We're going to talk to the athlete and say, how are you doing? How are you feeling? Look, I didn't sleep last night. I had a stomach ache, so on. And we would turn that into a teachable moment. Okay, so now you understand that you're not feeling great today because of what happened yesterday. How do we adjust that? Well, I don't eat spicy sushi the night before skate because it really hurts my stomach. Something as simple as that, right? And sometimes we're all naive into that, but that situation is a teachable moment, right? Or the kid might say, oh, I don't feel good. My mom and dad yelled at me. I didn't clean my room. Okay, I understand that. But what can we do to make this better? One, when you go home, clean your room, right? And then everyone's happy. But two, let's take that frustration and move it aside. And how do we move it aside? We teach the kids to park that, move it behind, because it's like a bad shift. If you hold on to that bad shift, you're going to have 2 and then 3. So we teach that into a moment. Hey, look, you got scored on in the game. It's kind of like getting yelled at by your parents. How do we adjust that? Take it to the game and then bring it back to real life. And then the kid goes, geez, it's not that bad, right? And then we learn to adjust, and the players grow, and you can see them when something bad happens, because the game is going to eventually have a negative connotation. If it's a perfect game where no one makes mistakes, it's boring. It's 0-0. It means the goalies are awesome. No one scored, right? So someone makes a mistake. How do you deal with that situation? It's going to be the first of many. Even if you're playing junior, WHL, NHL, A2, beer league, anywhere you want. How do you deal with that situation? It's life. You've had a bad night's sleep. You've got to go to work at 6 in the morning. Suck it up. How do you deal with that situation? It might be 2 cups of coffee, but you're going to get through it and live to be a better person at the end of the day.
You ever had that perfect game, JP?
Oh boy, in my mind probably, but in the coach's mind probably not.
You know what? In my career, coaching and playing, I've never had that perfect game.
Yeah,
so I'm still in search of it. JP, I want to thank you. One more quick question before I let you go. We've played in Europe. You've played in the North American style. When you talk to players, I mean, especially the older ones, let's talk about the older players. I mean, they're going through juniors. They're going through D1, D3. There's that opportunity to play in Europe. What do you tell them to go because you love the game?
Well, it depends on the player, depends on their situation, right? And that's first and foremost as we look at a global picture. I was fortunate. Hockey took me all over the world. I got to see everything, right? Not everyone has that opportunity, but I encourage players to go, right? If depending on your situation, what it is, where you're going, your health status, so on and so on, I encourage players to see the world, right? Because if you get a real job, 1, you may not afford to be able to travel, and 2, we might hit another COVID where you're never going to leave the house again for the rest of your life, right? So we have to understand that hockey is a great game, and if you get an opportunity to travel, if it's with your summer buddies and you're going to play in a beer league tournament with some friends, but the high-end guys are looking to go pro, looking to go to the National Hockey League, Europe is changed. It's not the end all be all where you go away and die, right? A lot of pro players used to think, if I go to Europe, I'm never coming back. We're seeing tons of guys go to Europe, show they can play a different style of game and give different characteristics to their game, and then come back to North America and become a very valuable player, either in the American League, the National Hockey League. So times have changed, and you can still develop in different places. Russia's done lots of career extending for lots of players. I had Switzerland for 5 years, because if I wasn't in Switzerland, I probably would have been home a lot sooner.
So you enjoyed the days in the Swiss League?
Yeah. We lived on a farm in the countryside. Our house was built into a mountain. We could go hiking every Sunday. It's a beautiful place. They treat you with great respect. It's not that far off North America, right? The love of the game is there. We had 16,000 crazy fans. There was a huge wall of 12,000 fans that didn't sit the whole game. They had chants. They had boos. They did it in German. I didn't understand what the heck they were saying, but the energy was contagious. You could just feed off that, right? Just think of the loud Go Jets Go at the MTS Center where it's 16 or 15,004 people. The energy just creates and lifts you, and that energy just brings you. And that's one of the funnest things of hockey is that energy.
That contagious energy is missing in the rinks, especially in the bubbles right now. All we see is monitors and video pamphlets, and it's a weird thing, like we've said. And I've spoken to several other players that played overseas, and they've said the exact same thing, JP. They love it. The audiences are amazing. The spectators treat you with great respect. The fans are amazing. The towns you play in are amazing. It really has changed, and it's definitely an eye-opener for someone that has the opportunity to go over there and go play. Yeah,
it really is, and I would do it all over again. I think it extended my professional career. I actually got to put the first time Team Canada jersey. I'd never done that before. I got to do it 5 times at the Spangler Cup. You know, just the honor. I have it hanging just over on the corner here in my house. That's something that every hockey player wants to play in the National Hockey League and put that maple leaf on your chest. And I got 2 check marks beside those.
I forgot about the 07 Spangler Cup. Thanks for reminding me. It's on my list here.
Yeah.
Which champ, obviously, is that the most important championship in your career, you think, representing your country?
I don't know if it's the most important. It's the most storied tournament ever.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's a hard team aspect because it's only 5 or 6 days, and you're playing every day. So it's not like you've grinded out for a whole season with your teammates and get to know them and gone through the ups and downs. It's a week. It's hard. You're going to lose 10 pounds, probably get sick. It's a great tournament. There's 2 games a day. There's life. It's over Christmas holidays. You're in Davos, Switzerland, high up in the Alps. So it's an awesome time, a great tournament. I've got to meet some great people. The year we won, we had Travis Green, coach of the Vancouver Canucks. He was my centerman, right? We had Mark Giordano on the defense. Well, he's captain of the Calgary Flames. So one year we had Cujo come in. We had Mark Messier come with us as a coach. So got to meet a lot of interesting characters that I never thought I would. And it's a small world. But I think my 3 professional championships, one in Switzerland with Bern and Chicago and Orlando, they all have a different place in my heart. We all got to a goal in a different way, right? And I had a different role on each team, so you appreciate it more. In Switzerland, I was counted on to be a little bit more of a leader. And at that point, we had gone up 3-1 in the finals, and we had lost game 5 and 6. So it was 3-3 going into game 7 at home, a lot of pressure. No one wants to let go of that lead, and we come out and win. We scored two goals into that second period, and everything kind of unbuckles for the other team, and we win. So that's a different one than being a first-year professional with the Orlando Solar Bears and really learning how to play pro hockey and going series after series and winning against a wily veteran Chicago Wolves team. Then the following year, we combined with the Chicago Wolves team, barely make it to the playoffs, and scrape by. Every series was a grind. I think we played 21 or 25 playoff games that year, which at that time was a record. And it just seemed every series was a 1-goal game. Every game meant something, if it was elimination or not. So we really had everything was different, and it was a great atmosphere. And you take pieces of that and you put it into your resume, and hopefully it keeps you going after that.
Well, it certainly sounds like it kept you going, JP, because now you're doing the love of it and giving back to the kids. The take-home message to any player that comes to your camps is what?
Love the game. I think you have to love the game. If you don't love it, it is way too long of a journey to become a professional. If your goal is to be a pro hockey player and you don't love hockey, you're not in it for the right reasons, because the pain, the sacrifice, the dedication it takes to possibly get a chance, you have to love it, right? You're going to have broken bones at one point. And if it's from blocking a shot, taking a punch, getting slashed, whatever it is, you're going to have to take disappointment, getting cut, not getting in the lineup that day. Not everybody is a first rounder. So love the game, because if you don't love it, it is way too hard of a journey, because if you're playing junior, you're still years away from getting to that National Hockey League. Very few players jump from junior hockey right to the NHL. You have to be an exceptional player. So love the game, because the love of the game can take you a lot of places.
I can't sum this interview up any better, JP. Thank you very much. Love the game. It's so important to love that game.
Yeah.
Thank you. Congratulations on starting up camps again. I'm glad you're doing it the right way, the safe way, and hope to see some of the boys and girls eventually get back to somewhat of a regular season this fall.
Yeah, I agree. I think some normalcy will be good for everybody. You make a lot of friends and a lot of enemies on the ice, but it's where we all want to be.
Absolutely. JP Vigier, VigierHockey.com, Jean Vigier 11 at gmail.com, correct?
Correct.
Fabulous. Great talking with you, JP. Hopefully the season continues soon, and hope the camps continue well. Some spots are still available. Please send him an email. A great camp to be a part of. Great coaches. Great group of guys and girls. Thanks very much, JP. Have a great rest of the day.
Thanks, you too.
Right on. Make sure you check out Coffee and Graham Tuesdays and Thursday mornings, 10:30 a.m. This has been On the Ice, the Hockey Camp Edition with a good pal, JP Vigier. Thanks for watching. Have a great rest of the day. Bye-bye.